Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 10 versus 10 on Factory, and I'm going to be playing with the 76th Airborne Division. This map is absolutely incredible, and on the 10v10 version of this map, you're fighting across this enormous factory that's in the center here, which is sort of combination of close range infantry fighting as well as sort of long sight ranges down these main roads. It's really cool. By the way, the engagement's already happening in the factory there. I'm going to be deploying on the right side of the factory today, and I'm going to be bumping into an Apache straight off the bat, which is going to be killing one of my Screzettes and my poor Igla inside. But the remaining two Screzettes unload their Iglas, and we are able to reply there by killing that Apache. MiG-21 coming overhead, actually taking out the recon helicopter as well, so that was very nicely done, but failing to shoot down the F-16. And let's have a look at the rest of the stuff I got down here. So a couple of BR-DM2s, really good for catching out enemy recon infantry early on. But in this case, I saw the Bradley, so we're going to be diving into cover there. I've got a couple of Desant Spetsnazvedka here with the Razvedka BTRDs. We've got another Igla with the Skreza on the right-hand side, the Spetsnaz GRU that are taking up position there to provide the GSR trait to give us extra recon on that right-hand side. The M3A1 Bradley does end up going down in a trade against the BMD3. The Conkers M winning out in that case, as I believe the tow was already fired at another vehicle. But I do end up losing my Gaz truck there with a fresh unit of Spetsnaz GRU, so not an ideal loss for me. But the Desant Spetsnazvedka is still good to go, and the great thing about the Desant Spetsnazvedka, really nice sort of multi-role recon infantry. They're fantastic at close range due to having the shock trait and decent weapons, and they have high veterancy. But they also have the RPG-22, which is okay for taking out vehicles, fires very fast indeed, and they also have an Igla, so they're able to help take on enemy helicopters. So the start that I went for was very good for taking on helicopters if they were a problem, and that Apache eventually went down no problem. And the A-10 there, kind of scary for me to deal with, but you might have noticed that I did lose a BMD-3 in the open to the Bradley. Now, when it comes to like the BMD versus Bradley situation here, these M2A1 Bradleys are only 75 points, and they do have that 25 penetration, so pretty nasty for me to go up against in the BMD3, because the BMD3 is just costs more and has like similar or worse stats if you think about the HDGM. So I do have to be careful in this matchup. I did bring up an Su-24 laser guided bomb, but it auto evac'd when it lost line of sight. So the Su-24 was supposed to be coming in with that, and I was going to use it to try and check for enemy radar AA, because it does have the trait that allows it to spot enemy units equipped with radar on the ground, as well as reducing their accuracy by 20% when the blue circle goes over them. I wasn't able to keep my Desant Spetsnazvedka alive there, unfortunately. The Leopard 2A4 is causing me issues as I was forced to kind of run them back to cover. Mi-8 getting taken out. Crusader, though, supporting me with some of the new Polish units. The Scott 2A and the T-72 getting their shots on target nicely. Hoping to pop the Chaparral there with the BMD-3, but not quite able to do so. And now we have the T-72 going up against the 2A4. I did manage to get a very nice side shot there, so one of those very low. Now, since I didn't use the ordnance on the Su-24, the laser guided bomb aircraft is ready to go again. So I'm going to be bringing that in, and we're looking to take down the Leopard 2A4s. Oh, thankfully for me, they stay together, and one Cab 1500 bomb gets the job done. Unfortunately, the Su-24 also goes down, but killing two Leopard 2A4s for one aircraft lost is pretty nice indeed. Now, my Su-24 just did a really bad job of preventing the radar AA from hitting the mark, and I think we also ended up getting shot at by enemy aircraft. So yeah, the Su-24 didn't really stand a chance in the end, but again, lovely trade, and I'm happy to take it. So Desantbezpiecznika now continuing to support the Superiority szturmowe that Crusader is pushing forwards with. My Spetsnaz GRU are trying to get into a better position further up so they can get that GSR trait to work. But otherwise we're going to have to be a little bit patient here whilst I wait for my reinforcements to arrive. I am bringing up a Shmel, which is one of the new UAVs that have been added to the game more recently. And I've also got my BMD-3s. Now the BMD-3s, not a huge fan of them overall because for 110 points I think they're maybe a little bit overpriced just due to their armor making them extremely vulnerable to direct fire. But the reason I'm bringing them in this case is because I need a way of kind of securing the open ground so that we can maintain pressure whilst I get infantry through the heavy cover. So Spetsnaz here managed to take out Bradley, that was really nice. And now I'm hoping I can take out the M113A3 ACAV, so that was a great double kill for the Spetsnaz. But while we're waiting for these troops to come in, let's have a look at the factory. So in the factory, Polish forces moving forwards on the right hand side, and you see that a lot of this has already been obliterated by bombs and artillery shells. Very cool indeed. Brigany and Cone doing a good job of contesting this sector on the left hand side there. I just love the detail of this factory. You can see this huge car park here. It's like a little area for like a playground and stuff. We got the statue there as well. There's so many cool details in the factory map as you look through it. And it's something that I really did want to show off today because these maps are awesome and they're added to WARNO for free. So really can't complain about that. NF5A taken down by my Igla. The BMP-3s are on their way. Our opponent on the right though has managed to get a couple more 2A4s up. And these are 2A4Bs. So I believe they're a little bit worse than a 2A4C. Still very strong with that 21 penetration at 2,275 meter range. And the worst thing we got to worry about with the Leopards is the fact that they're really good on the move as well. They have a 60% motion accuracy, which is huge. And that's before you consider veterancy. So one thing I could have been doing for sure is making sure that I had like more supply in early on. I think that's one thing that I was definitely missing. You can see I'm now bringing up all these gas trucks, but before that, making sure that I had the supply in position to replenish my infantry squads would have been great, because then we wouldn't have had to really like take the foot off the pedal when pushing through this tree line. Like supply just allows you to be continuously aggressive, because you can just kind of bring back any units that get damaged, resupply them, and then push forwards with the ones that aren't damaged in the meantime, and you can just kind of like cycle them around. Crusader going deep with the M72 Wilk, hoping to take out the M728 CEV, but gets hit by the fire team with the Law there. Does manage to finish that off, so that was nice. And now T72 managing to take out the M3A1 Bradley on the left. So some good kills by Crusader there, certainly going to help us in our endeavour to push through on this right hand side. Meanwhile, T55 is firing away. It's always cool to watch these mine clearing vehicles absolutely annihilating any infantry that touches. Now Spetsgruppe gonna be the next choice for me to bring in. Now admittedly I probably should have brought in more of the Spetsgruppe at the start instead of the Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz are nice because they have that sort of true multi-role capability of like anti-air, AT, plus, you know, the ability to take on enemy infantry squads with shock. but the Spetsgruppe, they're really good against enemy infantry, and they also have a TNT, and they have a really good AT weapon, which in this position would be really useful for me, because if I can get close enough to engage like a Bradley or a Abrams even, you know, they're going to be able to deal with that, because the Spetsgruppe has such a better AT weapon than the Spetsgruppe. So the gas truck's finally arriving, and that has been what's mainly been delaying me. So as soon as we can fix up my Spetsgruppe, we can push back through this tree line, and we can support the right flank of Crusader's attack here with the T-72. He's doing a good job taking out these Bradleys. The M3A1 Bradleys are in short supply, so getting off as many of those as possible is absolutely fantastic. Bonkers there, forcing the smoke out of the enemy tank. You can also notice on the backside I did bring up a couple of nonners, because I realized that this game's going to be quite static. Since I'm using an airborne division and I'm trying to push her across the open into an armored unit, it's kind of rough for me. So having the nonners there to harass or kill off enemy armored vehicles that would stop me from moving across the open is super important. And also just lowering the cohesion of the enemy Bradleys and such, so that the BMD-3s can win the A-to-GM war. That's also super important. Oh, rockets now flying into the factory there. It looks so crazy when all of this starts to just get destroyed. This poor factory getting annihilated as the intense engagements continue on that right hand side. Meanwhile, my Conquer's doing its best to hit enemy tanks. Little Conquer's team there, very cool. Now looking for the M1A1. You can see this Desert Spetsgruppe. They've moved up, they've helped kill off that M1 Abrams by hitting it with an RPG-22, lowering the cohesion considerably. The Spetsgruppe, they've now arrived, and they'll be able to help secure that forested area. Now, you might have noticed so far that the reinforcing roads are miles away from the front line, so it does take you a long time to reinforce on this map, and that is definitely something you need to consider. And on the backside here, you can see I've got the SU-24 with the E-War capability, and then the SU-24 with the KH-29 air-to-ground missile. I was waiting to get a better spot onto these armored vehicles so that we could engage them. But I'm also microing the nonners. We did also manage to shoot down the F-16 there, so that's great. On the left-hand side, bringing up a couple of Spetsgruppe just to make sure that the enemy don't go too deep into pool. So just kind of setting up some preemptive defense there. A little bit of defense in depth for the team. And meanwhile, my infantry on the right are going to be continuing their push through. This is a massive bombing target though, and that was one thing I was really worried about. Unfortunately for me, Crusader ends up, I think, probably crashing, because there's no real reason for him to surrender per se. But MiG-31 hanging about back here, trying to get an R-33 on target. Not going to have much luck. My AT plane coming over. Managed to get the Gepard, but then it gets shot down swiftly afterwards. No, MiG-31 getting a little bit too close for comfort there. Couldn't ever really have them far enough forwards that they can get shot out by manpads, so that's kind of my bad. We see a lot of infantry here, and that's going to be a great target for the nonners. So the nonners are going to be starting to engage that, while the Spetsgruppe and the superiority start hitting them. But there we go, the nonner rounds coming in. Easy peasy clean up. Very nice indeed. Now also going to be focusing on the KCT Vulcanas. Those guys are important to take out as well. Just like any recon make sure we blind the enemy, and then we can use the BMD3s at range to engage the Leopard 2A4s. Now, one benefit we do have in this game is that my BMD3s with those Conkers outrange the Leopard 2A4s by about 400 meters, so there's a good chance that I can use that to my advantage. But unfortunately for Valdis here on the right, that F-16 just got a nasty cluster strike. That's 2 T-64 BVs going down. So Crusader's AI has taken over, and it does put a lot of these cubs into very precarious positions. Previously, Crusader here was doing a great job of microing the cubs and making sure that he found enemy kills onto these aircraft, but now with the AI taking over, it's not going to be anywhere near as effective, and you can see that they are being placed quite far up indeed, and also the radar's not being microed, so the seed aircraft are going to have an absolute field day. Nonna's continuing to fire, and I'm going to start to bring in my next strike, which is going to be 2 Su-24Ms with HE bombs and the Su-24 with the electronic warfare. So now Spetsgruppe engaging the fire team AT, just outgunning them at range there, nothing crazy. But here comes my Su-24s on the backside, and they're looking to bomb the Dutch units that have just moved in to these trees. So I brought them in specifically from this angle to make sure I could do as much damage as possible. And we definitely killed a few units in there with those bombers, so that was a pretty successful strike, and all of my aircraft are going to be able to get out alive, so very, very nice indeed. That Spetsgruppe unfortunately ripped apart by the AH-1F. Rocket helicopters don't get blocked by line of sight of trees anymore, so you do have to really bear that in mind. The rockets are very, very nasty. The Spetsgruppe there surviving the Phantom II bombing strike, that's always nice. And now the F-16's back, and the Cub struggling to get a shot on target. I did bring out the MiG-31 in hopes that I could maybe hit some of these seed aircraft. And I'm also going to be buying up a second to be able to do the same, because there's a lot more chances we're going to start shooting things down if we can bring out maybe 2 MiGs in at the same time instead of just 1. So Nonna's waiting for a reload. They've used up a lot of ammo so far. First group back up to scratch, 10 man apiece. Descent Spetsgruppe going to be coming back to get some supply. The MiGs making sure to hold up on the backside. And this is one thing that's super strong about this division, the 76th, is these MiGs. They have both the R33 and the R40TD1, and the R40TD1 is arguably more scary than the R33 because it has 50% accuracy at 7,750 meter range, but also 8 damage, which is pretty nice indeed. So in the middle, the strikes still coming through on both sides, some going pretty deep here as artillery falls towards Italians anti-air. But loads of infantry packed in these buildings. Very, very target-rich environment. Spetsgruppe, HDGaming, going to be trying to take on the enemy infantry here. All these fire teams that are waiting for us that have been dropped off by the Bradleys that have been causing me so many problems. Unfortunately, the M1A ones there that move up, they pop my BMD3 and then retreat. The BMD3 recons I really should have had on return fire, so they never revealed themselves, but I think in this case I was also just getting spotted by pretty good recon on this left-hand side. While the Conkers there from the BMP2s trying to take out the 2A3, losing range unfortunately. The Leopard 2A3 really, really fast, so on the route there managing to get out alive. MiG-31s trying to find a shot onto something here. Strike Eagle is coming over. Taking that out would be very, very nice indeed. So both my MiGs going to be trying to engage it, hoping that one of the R-33s can land on target, and they do. And we're going to be evacuating both of those MiG-31s afterwards, and I managed to get out completely unscathed, considering what we were up against. That was quite impressive. As you see, as a team, we're back to the +3. Our team recovered their left-hand side nicely. So we're recovering some of the conquest points that we lost to the enemy early on. MiG-31 still hanging out. This is the second variant of the MiG-31s. This is the one with the R-60 infrared missiles. Still has R-33s though, of course, which is in this case going to be able to force the F-16 to evacuate due to getting too low on cohesion. But Spec Group up backwards and forwards on this left hand side. Well, technically on the right hand side. Like the RPG-27 is the AT launcher I was talking about here. So 21 penetration with almost 80% accuracy due to their Confederacy. This thing is really, really good against armored targets. So you see there, 1-shot, 2-shot, M728 CUV dead, which is a unit that is primarily meant to counter infantry. But what I've been investing in the meantime, you can see here, is the Nonners, and I'm looking to just try and kill off these Bradleys that are so brazenly sitting out in the open without cover. The Nonners are generally pretty accurate, especially when you have corrected shot due to my recon here. We do manage to kill it eventually. I could have probably fired at the rocket artillery here with the Nonners. I think they would have been in range. But the issue you have with rocket artillery, and the reason that I don't often counter-battery it myself, is because the enemy are very likely to just move them straight away after they fire. There's nothing really to stop them from doing that. But either way, artillery coming in from our teammates, and that's not to say you shouldn't try. It's just when I've got other targets on the front line here, like these infantry squads, it's definitely a better use of my Nonners. The Descent-Specialvertka, they're going to get nice Nonner support now as the artillery falls on top of the aircraft troopers, removing their cohesion, also damaging these Panzergrens. These Spessgrupper have an easy time against the fire team on the right side, so easy peasy. Just trying to do my best to clean them up, make sure they can't retreat in time either, in order to replenish. Enemy aircraft coming in once again. Diving very, very deep with the F-16 is going to get it killed off. My MiGs are now coming back in since they've both refreshed, and they're going to be looking for kills onto either the seed or the cluster would be good. Got plenty of targets to engage. Unfortunately for me, no kills. But my MiG's going to survive, and I was hoping that that MiG might be able to snipe the A-10 there, but a little bit too deep with that one is going to get it caused to shot down. Going to cause it to get shot down, sorry. So the BMD-3 trying to get a decent shot into the 2A4, but the 2A4 is being extra cautious now. Also noticed my Nonners started to get counter-batteried pretty quickly, so that was something I was worried about too. But Spetsnaz doing their job, killing off the Marder there. And the BTR-ZD Skreza is moving up to help those Spetsgrupper, so should be able to take out these infantry reasonably quickly. M1A1 though, going to make things difficult for the Special Grouper. And I'm focusing at the moment on using the Nonners. So the Special Grouper does end up going down. Now the difficulty with the Special Grouper is they don't have the best of range. So that AT missile couldn't hit the tank that was shooting at us, and that is sometimes a problem that you'll bump into. But meanwhile on the right hand side, Su-24 did come in. I actually managed to take out a cheetah with those seed missiles, so I was happy with that, and the Su-24 helped to keep that alive. So Nonna's firing and then making sure to move them again, also bringing up some supply for them. But you can see that I do currently have 8 aircraft on call. Since there's still more Gepards on this right hand side, I did send another Su-24 there to help engage. Because if there's really nothing here to help stop my Su-24s, I might as well keep using them. And this time around, another bombing strike. Looking for that infantry that just unloaded from the YPRs, and also drop some bombs onto the 2A4 to make that an easier target as well and stop them from contesting this cap on the right hand side. So beautiful bombing strike, kills plenty of infantry and pretty much stops that attack in its tracks. And we're still being engaged over on the left hand side, and unfortunately for us we did lose another player on our team. But you'll notice here I did actually lose some mortars before they even fired. So they must have had some recon on this. They could have had it anywhere over here really if it's got good enough optics. Maybe even something on the right might have seen them through the building. So yeah, it ends up being pretty rough for me to lose those, because the Nonners are one of the things that I'm able to utilize to force these vehicles to move. So like the M2A1s or the M1 Abrams, we want to like use the Nonners to engage those so that they move, and then we can catch them out with an ATGM or something. Anyway, BMD3s have moved over to the right hand side to try and help secure that flank. A10's going to be coming in with the gun run onto the suppression. It's always really cool when you hear that fire. And the factory grind still going on as the number of burning piles continues to grow. Look at this area, it's completely ruined. The infantry just piling into the center of the factory as well. Baltic being very optimistic, pushing the engineer leader into the edge of the sector whilst it's revealing itself by firing their guns. BMD3 travelling over though. Should be able to get that on line of sight shortly, although the A10 is creeping. And most of my MiGs and such were on reload, so I didn't really have much to respond to that. But now the Nonners engage that leader, and I'm hoping to take it out, but unfortunately the 1A3 does have line of sight through the gap there, so that's certainly causing a problem. And the A10 takes out the BMD3, so I'm not able to counter even the Marder 1A3, but at least the A10 gets shot down. BMD3 on the left gets killed off as well. And it just goes to show why I don't necessarily like using the BMD3s. But the Su-24 at least able to take out the M1A1 Abrams, so I was happy with that. And that might slow down the push just enough for us. But cluster artillery coming in to where my Nonners were. Normal artillery coming in to where they are. And so a little bit of a rock and a hard place situation there for a moment. But thankfully the cluster artillery stopped, so I was able to back up these Nonners that continuously get hit by that artillery. So 2 more Spätzgruppe on the way. I'm going to have to continue the infantry fight through the trees here. It's the only way that we can ever get into a position to challenge the positions of the M1s. Because of this being an airborne division, like, I'm very focused on my air. You can see the MiG-31s constantly coming out when they're off cooldown, basically, and I'm using the Su-24s as much as I can. We've got this Su-24 hanging out over here as well. So yeah, I need to secure this, and then I can use my BMP-3s to get good positions and ranges that can engage these tanks nicely. And then if the tanks come too close to the tree lines, then I can hit them with direct AT launchers. That was at least the plan. I'm just keeping that Su-24 hanging about. My MiG-31's used up all of its long-range missiles, so we're going to be sending that home. Another one going to be coming out to try and finish off the Phantom and the Wild Weasel. This time around, Phantom 2 taking a little bit of damage, MiG-31 finishes it off, so really, really nice job. Multiple engineers with flash launchers pushing into my position, the aircraft troopers on the left hand side there, the Spätzgruppe. Got a lot of work to do in these buildings. One of them already falling back on the left hand side, the right one coming under artillery fire now as well. So you can see that this is starting to get pretty overwhelming as multiple Abrams have built up. That's 2 M1A1s there, multiple National Guard M1 Abrams, and then the M1IP leader. Andy is going to be bringing up his T-72s to help support us, so that was very nice of him. And you can see here that I'm bringing up some Desantniki Metis on the left hand side. Now, I figured that there was probably some sort of recon over here that kept spotting my stuff, so I was going to try and deal with that. Coming in with the Su-24 bombers again. Try and get rid of that infantry. Seed also coming over to try and take out any remaining radar AA. But not too much to be seen, just one maybe a bit further back. So just going to sweep forwards and try and take that out. Gepard manages to successfully evade my seed. Now the Nonna's just kind of sitting back here, damaged and such. There's not really much I can do about that. My Metis waiting to unload as I do bring in more reinforcements on the backside here. The BMD-3s, they're now being hit in their positions. They have been utilizing these Konkurs M's pretty well to keep the enemy at a distance. But again, the factory in ruins as my Desantniki Metis drive on in. Start to think about helping secure that. Because the T-72s are moving through here from ND. I guess he probably could have utilized some of my Desantniki to help against the fire teams here, for example. But that's going to be the leader taken care of. And that fire team AT is not really getting anywhere. The M1A1 at close range. T-72 ends up missing. M1A1 does not miss. And that's 2 T-72s gone down. But now we're looking at a +5 as my Nonnas continue to help engage, and I'm going to be bringing in a couple of Su-24s with missiles to try and get the kills here. Managed to take out one Leopard on the right hand side. I was hoping to maybe take out some more of the Abrams that were further to the left, but wasn't able to do so. Able to take out a second Leopard there though with those AT planes. And that's really, really good value for me, because these Su-24s are only 234 points, and we just killed a couple of Su or Leopard 2A4s which are 250 points, so they've already paid themselves off, and that's really, really good. BMD-3 throwing Konkurs M's at the Leopards at a distance. You can see I've also managed to get my Metis into position here to prevent enemy recon from using that position again. It's also going to favour me in that they're going to potentially be able to flank the Leopards with those Metis rounds, but the BMD-3 dying doesn't really help in that case, because I would need the BMD-3 to fire in this direction at the same time, and yeah, not just quite able to do that. Specialized GRU getting into a good position now. All of the Metis engaging and lowering the cohesion of the two A3s. That's going to allow Italian to come in with the Su-22s with the AT missiles. Unfortunately, not able to get the kill there. But again, more BMD-3s on the way, just to continue to support this push. And I'm going to need more infantry, so that's also now coming in. Screzet moving up, trying to take on the AH-1Fs, but on its own, really not going to be able to do the job. So that gets taken out. You can see that I am having a difficult time in this game, but thankfully securing the left meant that our gains in the middle were really paying off. Cone and Brigany did manage to get pushed out of Nicholas eventually. It looks like the enemy team really focused on getting them out of there. But over here comes my Su-24s, and we're just looking for good targets for them. The lack of targets was really interesting because there was loads of Leopards on this right hand side for a while, and obviously we killed a couple of them with the Su-24s, and I was pretty sure there was loads of M1s ahead of us. But I think what ended up happening was because the chap Mig, who was controlling the M1s, left the game, the AI kind of moved them off the front. But the MiG there doing a good job of helping intercept some enemy aircraft, so that was great. And we're just going to be cycling them in to make sure we can get some more air kills. And my supply now coming in to fix up the Nonnas so we can get them back online. So there we go. MiG 31 looking for the kill, manages to take down the Buccaneer. Nice kill for the MiG for sure. Still has extra missiles ready to go, so it doesn't have to leave just yet. But in this case it managed to make use of the R60, which is cool. Okay, here comes the BMD-3s. I've got the Pulamachiki on the way. I'm even bringing in the 6U6 at 12.7mm, which is the machine gun that can target helicopters. MiG-31 looking for a really long range shot here, a bit risky going so deep against an Eagle. Eagles going for the Su-24s that are trying to bomb deep on the right hand side again. We do manage to get some decent damage in there. The Su-24 with the seed preventing the use of any radar AA. If they turned it on, it would have been shot at. I'm not actually sure there was much left though on that right hand side as we continue to now push in. And I've got the BMD-2s coming in now with the Desant-Niki BMD. Now in reality, like using the Desant-Niki BMD with the BMD-2s is probably much more efficient than using the Spes Grouper with the BMD-3s. But the trouble with the way that the deck's set up is like the activation points kind of force you to make use of the BMD-3s at least a little bit. Now these all managing to just about get out in time, but the F-16 going to be finishing them off, so my infantry reinforcement almost immediately killed. Hoping there to get a good kill with the AT. F-16 fails to kill even one of my Su-24s, so I got away with that one. And now the AA going to be punishing those F-16s for going so deep. MiG-21's coming in for the shots there onto the AH-1Fs with their main gun. End up paying for it quite severely. My MiG-31 couldn't get the job done either. Just a crazy air engagement for me on this right hand side. Su-24 heaven in this game. On the ground, however, things didn't really go so well for me. Nasty little bombing strike that was with the F-111s. Actually didn't end up doing too much damage. Now what I decided to do was bring up the E-War Su-24 with the Seed Su-24 and try and kill enemy radar AA for the rest of the team, since I didn't really have many targets left on the right hand side. But there's only like 30 seconds until victory at the moment due to the +2 in our favour. So the game is shortly coming to a close as we eventually break open the right hand side a little bit and start to put pressure onto Gregory. So Nona's trying their best to take out the Fallschirmjäger there. Put a Machiki on the way, BMD2's on the way. And once all of this arrives, we just start putting really heavy pressure onto Elena and Gregory. And the right side kind of cracks open. A nice job by the BMD. Does manage to take out the M1IP there, with the help of the T-72s, of course. And that's it. That is Factory. Look at that. Absolutely decimated compared to the start of the game. In the end, 9,010 kills, 4,695 for ND. I got 8,255 to 4,620, which, honestly, watching that replay back, didn't look that way at all. But I feel like my air kills were quite significant throughout this game. You know, you can see this Igla taking out the Apache, the Kiowa, the Freedom Fighter, and the F-16. The Su-24 killing 2 Leopards early on, like, put me well ahead on this right hand side. Even like the BMD3s here actually killing like a Bradley each, plus the M3A1 Bradley there is really, really nice. The MiG-31 killed 2 F-16s and F-15. It did actually manage to kill a Cub. It's probably where one of the R-33s went off target and crashed into the ground and he killed a Cub. Which is quite funny. Spetsgroupers not doing as well as they could have done, but nice bombing strike there for sure from the Su-24. The Seed did well, killed so many Gepards. Nona killed a Chaparral for us. The Su-24 there, killing 2 2A4s and the M1A1s. BMD3 killing an M1A1. So like basically all of my kills are like high value targets, but all of my losses were not as pricey, which is why it kind of looked a little bit iffy on the ground. Yeah, a lot of my kills were coming in from aircraft, but on many people on their team. So that's nice. All right, well, really, really fun game on Factory. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.